just want to let you know that we're already submitting the show for an Emmy next year, this episode. Kendall, are we working on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Christmas and New Year's are right around the corner, and we're all going to need some extra wine this season. Joining us with her picks for holiday wines is the mistress of Merlot, Santa's favorite wine elf, Leslee Miller from Amusé Wine. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning, Jason. Ready for some wine picks for you?
I am ready, and then from what I understand, you and I are going to be fighting in the next segment. It's going to be like Elizabeth Hasselbeck and Rosie O'Donnell. We have the split screen ready to go.
Who gets to be Sue Ellen? That's all I want to know.
Oh, well, yeah, that's very true. Okay, let's get to your picks. What do we have, my dear friend?
Well, everybody needs a really good stocking stuffer, right?
Yeah.
And nothing better than this whole line of really fun, again, canned cocktails are in sesh, and then also canned wines. I can't talk about it enough. Really fun things from all over the globe. I have a really fun little Pais. It's a light-bodied red wine from Chile. Some local spirited cocktails here, all the way down into these tiny little bottles, old fashions, Manhattans, you name it, in tiny little packages. So you can just stuff those stockings with lots of cheer.
Okay, when we talk about the canned cocktails, because, you know, the bottle and the cork, the casing, it all goes into keeping the flavor of the wine. Don't we lose any of that in the can, Leslie?
Honestly, they're really meant to be a consume now situation.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be holding on to these. These are definitely not something that you want to hang on to past like the new year. Drink them the morning that you get them, and your day will go really fabulous. And but they are those kind of packages where they're meant to be consumed now kind of products.
Got it.
Sure.
I see some bottles around you. What do we have?
Well, my theory this year is anything but Prosecco. Of course, you can head into the region of Champagne, still very expensive region to kind of grab bubblies from. You know, I'm always talking about fun new bubbles. This one's from Austria, so you can bet that these are actually some of the healthiest wines in the world. They have lots of jurisdictions in this country where you cannot add one additional item to this bottle outside of grape juice. We call this the clanger at Sip Better. This is the Mind Clang with this cute little cow on it, made by this very natural farm, and just a really fun, dry, sparkling rosé from Austria.
I like every single thing you said. Bubbly, rosé, on the dry side. What's next?
All right. Now you need a red that goes with everybody's palate. And this is always the hardest question that I get. I'm trying to find something for light-bodied, medium-bodied, full-bodied. I discovered this bottle this year, and it's under $15. I think it's around $14. The grape is Lemberger. Not like Limburger cheese, but Lemberger is the name of the grape. It's very interesting because if you like grapes like Merlot or Malbec, this is delicious. It's made by Kiona, a tiny little farm up in Washington State. And it is like you could sit down and drink this and you'd be very satisfied. Again, it's under $15 and it's one of those wines that goes with everybody's palate.
As you can see, Leslie has a couple more wines on her other side. Plus, we're going to fight. So stay right there. More with Leslie when we come back. Back in a moment, everyone.
Let's make it a good day. We do it our own way. Let's make it a good day.
Gallup there. Welcome back to the show. We're back with Leslee Miller from Amusé Wine. She can definitely help you with the wine lover on your list. Okay, Leslie, we have a couple more to your right. What do we have?
All right, so you need the boss gift. Everybody wants to impress their boss, give something really unique. For some reason, people always pick the grape Cabernet, but I'm telling you this year, you need to go back to an old school classic. The grape is Syrah. This is actually from California, and this is from Mount Veeder. Tiny little production here. Legere Meredith. They're up on Mount Veeder. They make stellar Syrah. Actually, one of my favorites in the entire United States. And wow. This will run you about $50. And I just think it's literally one of the country's best. So very cool.
So if you like your boss and you want to impress them, that's the bottle.
It really is. Every time I serve this to somebody, they literally just say, wow.
Perfect.
It's okay. And then of course, if you really want to just overdo it, you really want something fabulous just for the week of the holidays. Did you know that they're actually putting Manhattans? Like you can get 20 Manhattans in an entire box, Jason.
We have boxed Manhattans?
Yes, I love this. I cannot love it anymore. This is St. Agrestis. These are the guys in New York. And I just found this week and I'm obsessed. The fact that you can just have this is very dangerous to have on your counter, by the way.
Okay, let me ask you, because my dad back in the day loved Manhattans. I do not love Manhattan. Does it come in ever other cocktails, Leslie, or just Manhattans?
Well, you know what? They actually do an old fashioned. And I'm a Wisconsin girl, so that's hard for me. But you know what? I've tasted these and I love them. You just put them over a big cube and they have everything in them that you need. So they're very easy.
Okay, now we're going to fight. If people remember back a couple weeks ago, I recommended a wine because I went to a wine store. There it is, Eccentric. I went to a store and I said, hey, I want to stock up our little wine place. I want some, give me a few expensive ones, and then I want a good table wine. And the woman said to me, and I quote, she goes, well, I was at a fancy party with wine snobs, and we were drinking a $150 bottle. And then we ran out of that, and we went to this. We went to Eccentric, which is $10, and the wine snobs liked the $10 as much as the $150. Now, I went on the air. Don't shake your head, young lady. So I went on the air, and then Leslie comes over to my home like a week later, and she goes, well, one of your staff members, and I won't say who, Ted, one of your staff members called me in the middle of the night and said, can you believe that Jason recommended this wine and said it tastes like $150? What's your problem with my $10 wine, Miss Wine?
First off, let me also quote Ted by saying, Leslie, I would never do that to you. I would never buy a bottle of wine that still is labeled Eccentric.
Oh, really? I love that once again we are throwing Ted right under the bus on live television.
I love it. Well, here's my thing. It's one of those labels. That wine is actually one of those labels that was produced for a certain store to produce some pretty high margin for that particular store. My biggest thing, Jason, is that I support little baby farmers.
Yes.
Who never get their stuff out there into the world. And so I ask tons of questions. And that's one of my biggest things when I go to a retail store. Tell me about the family. Tell me about the farmer. Tell me about everything that you know about this wine. Is there anything additional added to it? My biggest tip for everybody always is find those wineries that are 10,000 cases and under. You can always drink some of the healthiest wines in the world if you go with that tip. Me, I love to save a buck on a bottle of wine. But yeah, the $9.99 tasting like it's $150 sounds a little bit like a sales pitch.
God, I love you. Hey, I will admit when I'm wrong, and I will admit when I learn something. I didn't know that. I just liked it. I liked the price, and but knowing that, so I'm going to pose a challenge because I believe if you're going to complain about something, give a resolution. What would you recommend as a good $10, $11, $12 a bottle of wine in the Cab family?
You know what? In the Cab family, you're right. It's a very expensive grape. Now, when they say Cab on it, it's definitely blended with a lot of other stuff in there, other grapes. But when you're looking at smaller producers, you can look at some Chilean aspects of things. Cabernet also from... if you head right into Napa, you're going to get stuff that's a little bit more expensive. There is, is a small family farmer, $10, you're right. It's very hard for Cabernet, but it's always a little bit suspect to me to find some of those wines too, because they're giant brands and they produce millions and millions of cases.
Well, I learned something. Well, I learned. I will, because I like to support local. I like to support small. All I knew was I liked it. It tastes good, and I liked the price. But now I have learned something, And I have also learned that it's really easy to throw Ted under the bus on live television.
Quote, I would never do that to you.
Jason would, but I would never do that.
Never do that. I love you, Ted.
I love it. We love Ted. We love you. Thank you, Leslie. Have a good holiday, sweetie.
You too. Happy holidays.
If you want to get a hold of Leslie, support local, amusewine.com. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.